Next week, we'll be discussing the Maltese Falcon from 1941. Tom, how was your watch?
I've seen this movie more times than I can count, and I don't remember my first watch, honestly. I probably was in high school. I think I went through a John Huston phase at one point when I was in high school where I just watched all of John Huston's movies, or most of them anyway.
As one does.
Yeah,
As one does.
it's
Yeah,
a
I don't
big
think I
high
saw.
school, John.
Yeah, I don't think I saw Under the Volcano, but I saw quite a lot of his other
You didn't
movies.
see Fat City, I know
And
that.
I didn't see Fat City, right? Two John Huston movies I still haven't seen: Under the Volcano and Fat City. And I mean, I've always loved this movie. I read the book for the first time in 2005, so quite a number of years ago, and I really really love the book as well. Watching it again, I just it makes me laugh so much, and and the Bogart acting style is just kind of incredible and hypnotic. I mean, when I was in acting, I used to be an actor, for anybody who's listening who doesn't know, but I used to try to get my lines out. At least I would try this in scenes, try to get my lines out as quickly as he does in this movie, just to try it in different scenes. And oftentimes you junk it. You wouldn't use that because it wouldn't work. But I've always been like deeply impressed about how quickly he can kind of rattle through this script. It's just such a lovely thing. And I love the harshness of it. He's such a harsh character. I watched again with my friend and a former person on the show, Margaret. And she hadn't seen the movie before, and she was shocked by how mean he is. And God, it's the coldness of it, and the kind of simplicity of that coldness is also incredibly appealing. How about you, Pat? How was your first watch?
So I'm with Tom on this one. I think I've watched this movie more times than I can count. I've watched it many, 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 many times. I do remember my first watch. I think this is the first sort of classic era movie that I ever watched. So this is I think I was like 12 maybe. So this is the first movie that I watched that wasn't Disney or a blockbuster or like As Good as It Gets or some rom-com. And my brother John, my oldest brother John, I think it must have been the end of August, and I was getting ready to go back to school, and I think it was the night before I went into either sixth or seventh grade, and he was like, "We should watch the Maltese Falcon." So he got the movie and we watched it. So I've seen it many, many times, and I read the book for the first time. I've read the book many times. I read the book for the first time in 2011 when I was living in London. And actually, I'm doing my MFA in creative writing right now, and actually, the novel that I'm working on is sort of an homage in some ways to the writing style of Dashiell Hammett and to the Maltese Falcon. So I know this movie very well. And I agree with Tom. It's just like I think I like the side characters also quite a bit. While I like the Humphrey Bogart character, I also just I love Peter Lorre. I love Sidney Greenstreet. I think those two are just like they're so much fun in this movie. Even Cook in this movie, I just think this is like a great, there's a lot of great character acting. I think it's a great film. It has a lot of fun to it. This I think is one of those. The other movie we discussed is sort of like movies that I would take on the island with you. This would be one of the island movies along with something like Night of the Hunter. So I love this movie. KJ, what about you? What were your first viewing like?
This was my first viewing, so quite the opposite of you guys. This was my first viewing of the Maltese Falcon, and my first noir is when we did The Third Man, guys, which is kind of a anti-noir because he's a fish out of water at the same time as he's trying to be hard-boiled. So it was kind of good to visit an actual noir. I guess I've also seen Brick by not Brick, Ryan Johnson's. Was it Brick? The one that's in high school with all the. You guys know him? Nothing.
Rick. Well, I know the murder mystery that Ryan Johnson did with Daniel Craig, but I don't.
No. This was a bunch of kids in high school, but it's written like a Humphrey Bogart noir, and they talk.
Was it made after 1980?
Main actor was Jordan Givens, the guy who was in Jordan Gordon.
Oh,
Jason Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, whatever.
The guy in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
Isn't it Joseph? I think it's
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. There we go. The guy in Looper.
This is a movie podcast. we're feeding expertise about movies.
Guys, I was kind of bored. I know there was a mystery going on.
This
How are
movie?
you
I'm with
bored?
Margaret. He was kind of mean. I wasn't exactly.
I don't think Margaret was putting down the movie. for that.
No, but he was mean. But audience, go check out the movie. I highly encourage you. How about you, Nick? How was your watch?
I'm still getting over KJ's criticism. He was a meanie.
He was. All right, and hang on, since we're on the topic, the other thing, you ever have like an argument with somebody, and then when you're in the shower later, if I had said this, it would have been so cool. That's him from the beginning, but somebody wrote the script. It wasn't like he's doing this in real time, but it felt like all those thoughts you have afterwards in a movie. But yeah.
So, to follow that one up, I was very excited to watch this one. Similar to KJ, this was my first watch, and that's about where our similarities end. I was very excited because we referenced this on many other episodes, and I had never seen it. So I've just been kind of dying for us to cover it. And I almost wanted to say my first watch of this was our 91st episode for the movie Chinatown, because the beginning is very, very, very similar. And now I wish I had seen this one first, but I also did enjoy Chinatown. So I really like this movie. I like the old timey dialogue and sayings and things that you just wouldn't hear anymore. I thought they might have put a different twist on the end. Maybe I'll save that for the episode, but I do like the way the movie played out. So that's all I have to say about that. We'll get right into it next week.
The Maltese Falcon is available on HBO Max at the time of this recording. Wow, Talking Studios,